Welcome to the podcast. I'm Max.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Mae, and we were had. Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were.
Okay, so I just got back from wedding planning in NOLA.
Heard of
So
it.
I thought it would be apropos to talk about a marriage-themed mystery.
I love that.
Thought that'd be fun. So today we are discussing the 8-Day Bride.
I thought the mystery was, how did Mark actually propose to her? Oh!
It's true, I am fat and ugly.
Jeez.
She made it worse.
Well, you're getting a glimpse
I thought
into
it was just
my
because
head.
you're a whore.
Being a whore would actually help me in that situation, I think.
That's true.
But I'm just a prude, mediocre-looking lady.
But you have nice sweaters.
I got nice sweaters, though.
She got nice sweaters.
That's true. Nice sweater puppets, too. Okay, so...
What's a sweater puppet?
It's a boob,
Breasts.
you innocent bitch.
yeah.
It's a what?
It's a breast.
Boob. Sweater
Oh, I never
puppets.
heard that.
What's a sweater puppet?
Really?
I mean, it's definitely from like the 1800s.
I like
I
it.
think
Yeah,
no one
I like
said it
it.
in
You're
a while.
saying it like you're so hip.
You know, it's that new special. You know, who was that? That was Bo Burnham's special, Sweater Puppets, wasn't it?
Sweater puppets, yeah.
That's
That'd
like
be a
what the
funny
kids
one.
are doing when they're like talking about dirty stuff.
TikTok.
And I'm like, oh, she's got some pretty good sweater puppets over there.
The TikTok teens are like, yeah, not me dancing with my sweater puppets out. All right, please continue.
That'll be
That's
the name of
not
my
what
first
this
album.
episode's about. That's actually a good name for the
Yeah,
first
Sweater
album.
Puppets, yeah. I love my sweaters. Okay, so this story, guys, it has twists, it has turns, it has arson, it has affairs, it has possible murder or suicide. It's got all that and more.
Wow.
Alrighty.
Let's do it.
So May 12th, 1947, 22-year-old Christina Kettlewell of Ontario, Canada, eloped with a man named John Ray Kettlewell, who was a 26-year-old veteran known as Jack. They had been, so for the rest of the story, he goes by Jack. They had been
Thank you.
dating for 3 years, but Christina's family had concerns about the marriage, so hence the elopement and not like a full-ass wedding.
Mm-hmm.
So Christina's father, who was a Polish immigrant, initially opposed the marriage because the groom was not a Roman Catholic. The elopement came after a suspicious 2-week disappearance from her family's home. So basically, like, she ran away from home, eloped with this dude that they all fucking hated.
This is after World War II.
Yeah.
Is this baby boom?
Is this what?
This is baby boomers, right? This
So
is like
2
when that
years
happened.
after World War II.
That's when everybody's
I always
coming home
associate
and
baby.
fucking.
Yeah, right.
This is the baby boom, no? Like, this is like
Yeah.
the greatest generation. They came home and they were just fucking.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
It all started
Making
with-
out at the.
They all started with the nurse in the
hop
street.
sock or whatever.
Yeah,
At the parade. The hop sock.
Oh,
Yeah.
the
Hop sock.
I think it's sock hop, actually.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
I thought you guys were so hip on idioms.
Yeah.
Idiom? Is that the right word?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Idiot.
the family, so Christina's family was suspicious of Jack's relationship with his best friend, who was a 28-year-old man named Ronald Barry, and he was an immigrant from Italy. So Barry, who was formerly known as Ronnie Chiuffo, so I guess he changed his name. Anyway, he came from Canada, from northern Italy, and tried to establish himself in construction and insurance businesses, and also ballroom dancing.
Were they suspicious of him as an Italian, as like a mafioso, or as like a
Ballroom
gay,
dancer.
as a gay? Yeah. Now, there's anything wrong with that. We were talking about the Seinfeld episode with that.
Oh, yeah. Not that there's nothing wrong with that. But so basically this guy had like nothing going on, and he was sort of like a huckster and just like kind of he was just sort of
Huckster.
like
What
floating
year
around.
did you were you
Yeah,
born?
we're really talking.
Listen, the year is 1947. Picture
You got
it.
into character.
We're getting into it. Okay. So, oh my gosh, there's like construction outside. Oh no, there's somebody driving by in a motorcycle.
And
Never
the mic
mind.
is definitely picking up
It's Mark.
everything.
It's just Mark. No, actually, the motorcycle is in our bedroom. Did I tell you this?
You sent us pictures.
Yeah. There's a motorcycle on the other side of this wall right now because Mark didn't want to pay to put it in a garage. So anyway, that's what's happening. I'm like breathing in fumes. I like Googled. I was like,
Is it on?
Yes.
but you could smell all the gas. So I like Googled. I was like, can I get carbon monoxide poisoning if it's off?
Yeah,
and it was
and?
like, no.
Obviously.
Okay.
Right.
Well, is that obvious? I don't know. I don't want
Yes.
to accidentally die.
It's just leaking monoxide.
Yeah, just every single parking garage attendant just falls dead.
That's a good point. I didn't consider that. Okay, so one of the
She
reasons
doesn't
that
consider them people.
So the reason that her family was so suspicious of this Ronald character was that it said that Jack, Christina, so the newlyweds, and Ronald spent an inordinate amount of time together. Christina's sister, Helen, would comment that the family thought that maybe Ronald was in love with Christina, and I was like, not so sure about that.
As in, Ronald was actually in love with Jack?
Yeah.
Or what if it's a throuple situation?
Maybe. A lot of people have talked about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, following the elopement, the Kettlewells spent the next few days at an apartment in Toronto and Tyndall Avenue as like part of their honeymoon. And so bizarrely, Ronald joined them for the entirety of their honeymoon.
That's a throuple.
Like, what the fuck?
I thought you come to my honeymoon.
And
I
we're
would
not
enjoy
fucking?
it if you guys were at my honeymoon.
We're going to yours, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Only one person is weird. If you're bringing...
Yeah, if it's a group honeymoon, that's fine.
group honeymoon.
Oh, that's just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Anyway.
you don't even need the spouse. Let's just go on a trip.
South Africa? Like, what do you guys think?
South Africa.
I've always wanted
Fiji?
to go bungee jumping in Cape Town. It's a
Ooh.
weird thing on my bucket. Very
Let's
specific.
go on your honeymoon without Mark to South Africa.
Yeah,
That sounds fun.
That's fun.
wonderful.
That's great. So they had been in Toronto in this Tyndall Avenue for a little while, and then on May 17th, the trio headed out to Ronald's remote cottage in Severn Falls, Canada, that is only accessible by boat. So it's like remote as hell.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, blah, blah, blah. So, like, obviously it's super weird to have your best friend on the trip, and especially in, like, a remote place. I'd be like, it's one thing if we're touring South Africa. That's completely normal.
Yeah.
But if we're just going to go to this, like, cottage where all there is to do is have sex.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so the three of them, they weren't going somewhere for, like, a trip where it's, like, a vacation
Yeah, it's not one of
destination.
these things like, oh, I always wanted to go
Ronald
there.
couldn't,
Yeah.
like, get some trim by himself.
Yeah.
It was just Jack, his ballroom dancer best friend, and, what's her name? Christina.
But
Christina.
throuple seems much more likely.
Thruple, it's a definite thruple.
If it's just a couple, then...
And the three of them were very close.
I don't
or
know.
it's like a... cock.
Yeah.
Oh, where Ronald's fucking Christina, Jack's watching, or vice versa?
Either.
Well, so it was theorized.
Has there ever been
I
a
know-
female cuck wanted to watch her husband fuck another guy?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Women can be cucks too, Max.
It's 2021. I apologize.
God.
But yeah, it's theorized also, and I'll get to this in a little bit, but it's theorized that the reason that they got eloped was because they had drugged, this is just like a theory, I think, from her sister, that they had drugged Christina a few days before the elopement, and Ronald had sex with her, and then back in those times, they woke her up from, like, being drugged and was like, well, you're a ruined woman now, so now you have to get married to me to, like, redeem yourself in the eyes of the Lord or something.
But they had been dating already for 3 years, and she wanted to marry him, correct?
Correct. So I don't know what the fuck.
Well, let me ask you this. I lost it. What was your question?
No, I was confused because the whole religion thing is also weird. Which one of them was religious?
She was Roman Catholic.
Did she come from money? That was my question, sorry.
No. I mean,
So they're not
Middle
after
class.
anything.
well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Family,
Please continue.
family jewel.
Okay, so during their time at the cottage, it's reported that Christina began to act out of character. She would go into crying fits while at other times seemed completely dazed. So, like, again, like drugged.
Who told people this?
Once they got into custody, Ronald and Jack told the cops that.
I don't trust.
So why would you describe her? I guess if you're trying to, like, say that she was out of her mind. You're
Right,
trying-
right,
yeah. I
exactly.
don't trust that at all.
But I'll get to some other things. There are some things that would point to the fact that she might have been out of her mind. Okay. So evidence suggests that Christina had conversations with Ronald about whether or not Jack truly loved her. And it's like, because you're fucking my husband and he's gay. So anyway, so on May 20th, so this is 3 days after they arrive at the cottage, Christina disappeared from the cottage curiously the same day that Ronald's cottage mysteriously caught on fire. Okay.
What?
So she leaves the cottage. They don't know where she's going. And then all of a sudden the cottage is up in flames. Ronald returned to the cabin to find a disoriented Jack sitting on in the cabin with an apparent head injury and pulled him out of the blaze. So he looked for Christina, but he couldn't find her anywhere in the cottage. And Ronald recalled that the cottage burned to the ground in just an hour, suggesting that someone had used a flame accelerator.
And
like
Jack was in there
gasoline.
with a head injury.
Yep.
So it seems like an obvious
Yeah.
situation.
So he took Jack on a boat to Severn Falls because they were like, well, he needs immediate, like, medical attention. Like, we want to sit here and wait for, you know, find out where Christina is. This is what he told the cops anyway. He was like, we wanted to look for her harder, but, like, he was going to die. So we had to bring him to the hospital or whatever. And obviously Ronald's in love with him. So he didn't want
Yep. His sweetie pie.
Right. So he took Jack on a boat to Severn Falls to reach a car and drive him to the hospital and contacted the police. It was then that Ronald discovered the situation became even worse because that evening, Christina's body was found in 9 inches of water just 150 feet away from the cottage. By a man named Neville Sweet, who was an owner of a boathouse in the area. So her body was free from any burns or any signs of violence, suggesting that she wasn't in the house when it went up in flames.
She didn't have any injuries.
None.
What a mystery.
Yeah, isn't that
9
weird?
inches. That's a glorified puddle.
Yeah. And also, I think it's proven that unless you're, weighted down or something, your body won't allow you to drown yourself.
I've always heard that.
Yeah. Your body, the instincts, it just, won't allow you to do it.
I mean, was there a sign that... Could you tell if Jack, held her head in a little water?
It says no signs of violence, so you would think there'd be, bruising on her neck or something, because you're fighting pretty hard to get back.
You would hope.
Obviously.
If you're throwing elbows, too, that could have hit him in the head.
But, who knows?
Who the hell let this place on fire, then?
Maybe Jack was killing himself after killing her.
Maybe. That's a theory.
Or maybe Ronald's behind all of this.
But why wouldn't Jack say something?
Because he loves Ronald.
Now that's a story.
Can't lose both your partners.
True. Well,
the real victim here is Jack, the man.
So an official autopsy found traces of codeine in her stomach. So again, with the drugging thing. But her ultimate cause of death was declared a drowning.
In 9 inches of water.
That's what it was. I mean, 1947, there's it's broad drown.
How much water? Was it a large body of 9 inches, or was it a literal puddle?
I don't know, actually. Not sure. So interestingly, Major Lawrence Scarterfield, who helped put out the fire in the cottage, said that he saw no signs of Christina's body in the area when he went to fetch water from the river. Okay, so it was from a river.
Okay.
When he went to fetch water from the river to help with the flames just hours earlier, and also her bare feet were not damaged, suggesting someone placed her there as opposed to her walking there.
So she drowned somewhere else.
She drowned somewhere else, yeah.
In a tub. Also, do rivers have tides? I don't know.
No one
I
knows.
would think so. No one knows.
It's
No one
one of those
knows.
age-old questions. It has, not tides. It flows.
But what I'm saying, what if she drowned in a deeper part of the river and just washed ashore to the 9-inch part?
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, because it flows.
Because what a river does is it flows. Science knows that, at least. Rivers flow.
Anyway, so Jack, Ronald, and 20 other people were questioned by police in connection with the case. So Jack was interrogated by the police for 3 hours after being released from the hospital, where he was treated for burns, shock, a head injury, and apparent drugging.
He was drugged too.
He was drugged too. So it seems like Ronald's just going around making these crazy cocktails for people. I don't know.
Yeah. Have a drink, kids.
However, Jack claimed to not remember anything that occurred after 11 a.m. on the day of Christina's death. How convenient. Ronald, on the other hand, so he was questioned by the police for a grueling 13 hours. So they probably thought he looked pretty good for this. He's like, you're definitely the most suspicious person. In which he provided a 3,000-word statement that the police would describe as, quote, fantastic.
Like they were on the edge of their seats. Option.
A
this
triumph.
thing for a movie. A revelation.
Isn't that so funny? And
They meant fantastical, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Fantastic what?
Fantastical, like made up.
Oh, maybe.
Or I thought it meant 13 hours at the end. They just stand up and they fucking
And they
clap.
just start, whoa.
Well done, Ronald. You
Encore.
have done it.
I don't know. And I couldn't find the statement anywhere because I'm like, how fantastic we talking?
Yeah.
It's gotta mean fantastic, like not believable.
You're like 1947
like imaginary.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so June...
I assume otherwise that's insane.
Just fantastic.
So June 19th, an inquest into Christina's death began, which became quite the spectacle. Should we close
Maybe
that?
we should
Yeah,
close
it's
it.
gonna
Let's
Yeah.
close that. That's
Yeah,
okay.
we're going to close the window.
Sorry, everybody.
Actually, Ben, while you're up, can you check the camera to make sure it's filming?
Yes.
Oh, Ma.
Just, how many L's can we take?
I know.
I'm sorry.
Bye, Greggy. Oh, he's sitting down.
He's going to
Okay.
sit. Okay, cool.
Can we get back to the podcast?
All
Yes.
right, back to the podcast. So June 19th, an inquest into her death began. It became quite a spectacle in the courtroom. So the public packed not only the courtroom, but the grounds outside, with some people approaching Jack and Ronald, who are the main witnesses, for autographs. And obviously those people were women.
Autographs. What?
Yeah.
His mom's calling.
Oh, wow.
This is
This is all over the place.
with
Yeah,
distractions. This reminds me a lot of Natalie Wood. Previous episode.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
good call.
Two
Yeah,
men
definitely.
possibly fucking each other alone with one of their partners.
That'd be funny if they made
Yeah.
a movie of this and Christopher Walken and Robert Wagner played them. And people were like, I think,
Aren't they a little old
yeah,
to play
this
these
is-
26-year-old men?
It's a little on the nose, you know. They're like, yeah, just take inspiration from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How can I get into character?
Audiences describe the film as fantastic.
But it's so funny to me how like these two men are basically accused of. I mean, at the point they weren't on trial for murder is basically to find out if there was like foul play involved or not. But at the same time, like it's a lot of signs point to they were involved in the murder of this woman.
Yeah.
And women are standing outside asking for their autographs, and it's like, first of all, these guys are gay. Secondly, they. Oh,
I see. If they were like attracted to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It's
they
like
wanna
this thing
in.
where
I
like,
thought
women.
you were saying, like, why would you want an autograph from a gay person?
They can't write.
Yeah. But like, it's just like never ceases to amaze me how
Oh, no,
terrible
it's insane.
women are. So
You're blaming the women.
the women that are asking for their autographs
No,
and treating
that's
them like
fucked up.
celebrities.
Yes.
That is fucked up.
I'm blaming
But
them.
you can cry hysterical woman here in 1947. That's a totally reasonable thing, right?
I mean,
She was
that's the
hysterical.
word.
That's it. That's how she died.
I don't know. You think this recently? Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think when most of this woman's hysterical was
If you
going
called
down.
anyone a
right?
I always
communist,
thought it was more like
20s.
early 1900s, like Lizzie Borden time,
Yeah, that's true. I think it's sort of.
No,
or
I'm
late 1800s.
pretty sure nowadays in some parts of the country, if you called a woman hysterical, that's it.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah, so like I said, it should be noted that they weren't on trial for murder at this time, but it was simply a case to determine whether or not foul play had been involved. And while the highly sensationalized investigation uncovered many interesting bits of information, the jury of the inquest ultimately could not agree on whether Christina's death was a result of foul play or not, stating, quote, due to the fact that the post-mortem examination disclosed codeine in the stomach of the deceased, and due to the suspicious fact that she was found drowned, this jury is unable to decide on the evidence given whether or not foul means were employed in her death. Like, what? I don't know.
What's an inquest? Is that just they're doing what the cops do, but in a small town?
Yeah, well, basically they're trying to find out whether or not they should go to trial. Like, whether or not this is a criminal case.
Ah. That was beautifully said.
Thank you. So Jack and Ronald were in the clear, and as there's no evidence implicating either of them in the death, like I said,
You go Jack and Ronald were in the clear, Ben goes,
yeah, the good guys prevail.
Oh man. Otherwise, my autograph would lose value.
But their relationships to both Christina and each other were thoroughly exposed in the process. The police report claims that there were no signs. That there were signs and evidence that Christina was very distressed by the, quote, unnatural conduct of her husband and Barry. So that's like, that they were in a gay relationship together.
he spelled Barry with an IE at the end?
Yeah, that's
Did
what
he
he
dot
did.
it with a heart?
Okay, so a few possible theories. So the hysterical woman thing definitely was a theory, but there was actually a pretty good reason for it.
She was mentally ill.
Yeah, so Christina may have been mentally ill and killed herself. There's a lot of pieces of evidence that Christina may have killed herself, including several suicide notes written prior to her untimely end that were uncovered during the inquest.
Oh.
And they were verified as to being her handwriting and all that stuff. So the first note was written on Easter Sunday before their engagement and about 5 weeks before the wedding. It was addressed to Ronald. In it, she writes that she tried to poison herself and talks about the uncertainty of receiving a proposal from Jack. So,
She writes her suicide note to Ronald.
yeah.
And she can't bear to see another girl have him.
Yep. So in it, she claims this will be the best way out as I cannot bear to see another girl have him. And it's like, another girl?
So, honestly, this really is seeming like a throuple situation.
Yeah.
Or even like a... Maybe the two of them really were really good friends with Barry.
I guess. I don't know. And Jack recalled Christina being sick that day, so it's like kind of confirmed that she did poison herself. But
Did you ever see the movie with Blake Lively and the two, like it was like the weed movie where it's like
Oh, that was good.
Savages. Yeah.
Oh wait,
Oh,
no, I didn't see that. I thought you were talking about something else.
It's so the movie, the whole plot of it is basically something like this, some situation like this, where it's like Blake Lively, two best friends, they're both in love with her and dating her, like she's dating both of them. It's a throuple. They're not gay for each other, but they're both in love with, and they kind of have threesomes, but it's an Eiffel Tower situation, I believe.
okay.
It's not healthy,
No.
but people are poly. God bless.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
I just didn't realize that Ronald and Barry were the same person. So while you were explaining that movie, I discovered that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, is that
No,
not
I
clear?
forgot that. No.
Yeah.
You explained it perfect. I just
Oh yeah, I forgot that his name was Ronald. His last name is
Ronald.
Barry,
Yeah.
spelled with an IE.
Yeah.
Strike my daughter with a heart quip from the record, please.
Right.
we can cut it out.
So,
I won't. I simply won't.
she wrote another suicide note at the end of April. So this time, her intention, as detailed in the note, was not only to kill herself but Jack as well. So in this note, also addressed to Ronald, she wrote, "Oh fuck,
is that?
Disaster.
I don't know.
Who's this?
Probably someone dropping off a package or something."
Well, they're going to steal anyway.
Blah, blah. So in this note addressed to Ronald, she said, "When you love someone, you really love him, and I know that there is no one for me but Jack. And if I cannot have him, I do not intend on anyone else to. I waited, as you might say, in the hope that Jack would ask me to marry him, but now I realize I'm just a passing fancy." So.
Is she the passing fancy, or is he?
She's the passing fancy in that. Oh, well.
Think again. You're
Passing
whatever.
fairy.
Yeah,
Well,
you mean
hey, you
Nancy.
can't say that.
You mean Nancy?
It's not fancy Nancy. It's a fancy boy.
Okay, so the last note was written the day before she died. And it was addressed to Mr. Thomas, who owned a home in Mimico that Christina and Jack stayed in for a little bit. So Mimico is back in closer to Toronto.
Okay.
These are Canadians?
Yeah.
Well, then why do we give a fuck? No.
What are they doing up there? I don't know. This makes sense. They're in the fucking woods. There's nothing else to do.
So once done, Christina asked Ronald to mail the letter for her. She writes, quote, "Ronnie is in the boats outside somewhere, but by the time he gets back, everything will be all over with. He must have been afraid something would happen because he's staying an extra day to make sure we go back to Toronto with him." So that's kind of ominous. Everything will be all over with.
Who owned a home in America?
So it
Once
points
done,
to the
ask
fact that she probably was at least
She
contemplating
wanted to
it.
kill Jack and herself. Now I'm leaning towards she
Lit
hits
the
Jack
fire?
in the back of the head, lights the house on fire, drowns herself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not uncommon for you to get a fucking hammer to the back of the head and not exactly remember what happened.
That makes sense.
That's true.
Although I do feel like this is a two-part mystery in terms of like why. But a huge mystery is what is going on with these three people. What is this
Yes.
relationship?
I could see, what about this as a twist? For me throwing it in there for you. She knocks out Jack, lights the house on fire. It clearly lit up really quickly.
Yeah.
Ronnie comes home pissed. He's like, "Oh my God, you actually killed him. I didn't think you'd actually go through with it." He drowns her.
Oh, that's
Because he
interesting.
saves Jack, drowns Christina.
He's
'cause
upset
like,
that he
he's
just.
like, "Christina,
you
why
killed
why would you kill Jack?"
You killed, or you killed the love of my life, even.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
something. I don't know.
That's
we need to
not
keep
bad.
coming back to that, but it's possible.
Oh. That's not bad. Okay, so that's option number one is the suicide thing and mental illness and trying to kill Jack and blah blah blah. I think it's a theory and it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a theory, but it's a pretty good one.
Okay, so option number two, Jack and Ronald, not so innocent. Okay.
Cahoots.
So the first bit of evidence that suggests the duo may have planned this is a series of insurance policies purchased before Christina's death.
Together
So-
they did?
From Jack. So
Okay.
Jack took out two separate life insurance policies on himself and Christina before the marriage. which I guess is kind of normal, right? And they were each 5,000 Canadian dollar policies, contained each.
It's what,
each
$5?
policy, yeah,
Yeah, Canadian dollar.
contained a double indemnity clause, which would allow the beneficiary to collect twice the amount if the cause of death was accidental.
Wow.
So, a sum worth of about $200,000 US today.
Oh.
So, strangely, Ronald, so his male best friend, was the beneficiary listed on both policies. So, Ronald had also taken out a $5,000 Canadian dollar insurance policy on his cottage.
That burned down.
And named Jack as the beneficiary.
Nobody's naming Christina.
Exactly. So it should be noted that Ronald also, like, I kind of touched on this, but he had a bunch of
he
failed
worked in
careers.
insurance.
Well, yeah, he worked in insurance, but he had failed in insurance.
He knows the
failed
game.
in construction, and he had failed as a ballroom dancer.
Well, he's dancing on her grave, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So an inquest revealed that Jack had given his war gratuity, which was a payment to Canadian servicemen when discharged, to Ronald, and that Jack had removed all of his family from his will for reasons unknown.
I didn't even realize Canadians went to World War II. I don't consider them as war folk.
No, they just...
I thought say as war heroes.
Well, certainly not as war heroes, but not even war folk.
I thought of them as like Switzerland. They just chill up there and say a boo to weird.
Yeah, it's just Trudeau wearing blackface, staying out of the wars,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that kind of thing. Yeah. That is so funny. That it's like wicked hard blackface.
It's so many times too.
Well, it's kind of like,
the latest one that came out was just him at a party where nobody else seemed to be in costume. It just seems like he showed up in it.
that is so funny.
People go through phases.
Talk about him, on.
Eesh.
Also, Christina's wedding ring became a suspicious detail of the inquest because it was never recovered. So reports defer to whether Ronald purchased the ring for Christina or if Jack borrowed the ring from a married friend, and the true price of the ring is also debated, ranging from $1,000 to $13,000, which is quite a
it's a hell of a range.
And nevertheless, it was never found after her death, but like maybe in a fit of rage, she just took it off and like hucked it into the ocean or something.
I could see her, like, if she was the one that did it, just yeeting it into the river, pissed.
I could see that.
Because it seems like she was unhappy. I had her doubts.
Definitely. So Jack's statement to the police after the fire was another fascinating exhibit in the inquest. So in the statement, Jack states that he and Ronald had been in an intimate relationship for some time. Fucking figure.
Oh, he said it.
He said it, but then in court, he claimed that he was coerced to make that statement, as the police wanted to build that story in their report. So he's like, I just said this to kind of like get them off my fucking backs. And it's like, okay.
Or to get Ronald off your back. Hey-oh!
The police commissioner did...
But I don't even get that. Why would that help his case? I guess because...
I don't know. I mean, I think that it's sort of like, obviously people can be coerced into saying things.
Sure, but
And
like
so-
why? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like basically the police wanted him to say that because it was part of the case that they were building in their heads. And so...
That would
that's his
exonerate
argument.
him?
So, I mean, listen,
No,
if
that
you're in
wouldn't
there...
exonerate him. He like, sometimes when people are in these... It's sort of like, have you ever seen Making a Murderer?
Yeah.
Just like high pressure, you're saying.
High pressure.
If you're in there
And
for
they're just
8
like,
hours
yeah,
and like,
it's
come
fine.
on, nothing ever happened with the two of you, the three of you hanging out, you know what I
Right.
mean? You never tugged it a little bit.
Yeah. There's like a... But there's definitely like...
I could be. In another life. I really thought I saw that for myself.
But it's the same idea as like a false confession. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where he's just like, I will say whatever you need to say if like to just back the fuck off.
Right.
So
You just say that to every single person you inquest, whether or not it is
There's
relevant
not-
whatsoever.
Yeah, come on, you can
Come
friend,
on, you ever tugged it?
You never tugged it a little? Come on. All that time together. You never tugged it?
they're like, I'm here for bank fraud.
I robbed a bank. Yeah.
And you never tugged it while you were in there?
So the police commissioner did in fact touch on this relationship in the report in Christina's case. In it, he writes that the relationship between Jack and Ronald was, quote, to put it mildly, to be unnatural. Jesus Christ, the 40s. There was no evidence to prove this relationship, but it was highly suspected in the inquest.
What would evidence be? Jack's gaping hole? Like, I don't understand.
Seriously, though, it's so, yeah, truly.
Evidence, ballroom dancing.
Yeah, I'd be like, good enough.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. So this dude, Crown Counsel CP Hope, he didn't believe Jack was coerced and suggested that the two were actually lovers, which is probably true. Jack finally agreed to this after Hope hammered him with questions. So, whatever. The Toronto Star describes the questioning in an article from June 20th. Quote, when Kettlewell, Kettlewell was Jack, after vigorous questioning, agreed that Mr. Hope's repeated suggestion that he and Ronald were male lovers, the fantastic triangle of twisted and thwarted emotions.
We have to
took
look
place.
up what the word fantastic meant in 1947. The fantastic triangle.
Truly.
Yeah, this is wild.
I know. So I'm going to
It's
skip ahead a
fantastic,
little
really.
bit here because I think it's going to be like a little redundant for a little while. But I did want to say before we close out and talk about what our theories are that it's interesting because Jack actually remarried. So
What? That's what I was going to ask. You could learn a lot about this based on whether they got together after.
Yeah. So Jack did remarry and had had children with another woman about 2 years after Christina died. And it's like, damn,
That's
wait
fast.
till her fucking body gets cold.
Did he remain close with Ronald?
No. So Ronald left his pet dog with Jack before he disappeared, and as far as they know, he was still in contact with Jack for another 4 or 5 years after Christina died, but then after that, he sort of just like left.
Fell off.
And yeah, they were never.
Yeah, it's still possible they were in a relationship and it just fizzled. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Once
that's true.
someone dies when you're together, I think things are
Yeah, it's a hard...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this I find sort of suspicious too, but I mean, who knows? Because the internet didn't exist back then, obviously. And Jack never talked of Christina or this incident to his new family. And his children, like, they had no idea about any of this. And then they discovered it decades later when they were doing like some form of like Ancestry.com back then. And were like looking into family stuff. And they were like, wait a minute, Dad. Did you drown your first wife?
I don't think that's that uncommon, though, to not mention it to your children.
True.
That you were suspected of murder.
True. And apparently, according to some podcasts I listened to, they all knew about it, but like they never like by the time they knew about it, he was like really elderly and they were just like, and they didn't even ask him about it.
Yeah, well, he won't even remember.
Yeah. Crazy though.
Jesus.
So that is the 8-day bride.
This was only 8 days. She died on the 8th day
8th day of being
of their
married.
eloped marriage. That's him? That's Jack? I'm saying that like people can see.
Yeah.
And you can't even see the screen that I'm looking at, but who's this?
This is her and Jack.
That's her and Jack. Okay.
I have no idea who the fuck that is. Maybe that's the other guy.
Where'd you get these pictures from? You put these pictures in here. It's a guy from Google.
Yeah.
Who are those two?
I have no idea.
That's funny.
It's just a picture of my mom and dad on vacation. We'll put up some real pictures and we'll put in the caption who these people are.
There's no guarantee
But
that happens.
yeah, hopefully my marriage lasts longer than 8 days. But
Well, we'll see.
yeah, it would be a successful
All right, so,
marriage.
I mean, you read the most about this. What do you think?
I like your theory that she went to go kill him, light the house on fire, and then killed herself somewhere. But drowning yourself, I don't think it happens.
No, I like the theory where Ronald killed her.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah. And then Ronald came
Because
back
Ronald came back, house is on fire, he pulls Jack out. He's like, you did it. You did it. You really did it.
Yep.
And then,
No.
Why does Christina want to kill Jack?
I think she's, well, first of all,
Here's my question, after the one I just asked, is did Jack know his future wife at this time?
not that I know of.
Because
But
that is pretty quick.
in the
Yeah.
notes, she was saying that she didn't feel confident in the relationship.
She
didn't-
definitely
couldn't
felt
bear it.
insecure.
She didn't feel. She wanted to kill herself because of that. And here's the thing: because she wanted to commit suicide, there were no signs. She wanted to die anyway.
Yeah.
There were no signs of violence against her. I could see her not putting up a fight against Ronald drowning her.
yeah,
That's how you drown in shallow water.
yep. That's true. Well, yeah.
Because she just like resigns to just take it.
Because also with the relationship between Ronald and Jack, it's strange that all the letters talk about her being suspicious that Jack is with another woman. She didn't seem suspicious of Ronald, except for one. There was one thing in there.
Yeah. That's true. Her family was very suspicious of Ronald.
But okay,
So,
it's not like people were blind to what was going on. I mean, he came on the honeymoon. I mean, it's,
yeah.
It came a bunch, I'm
Hey.
sure.
And her sister apparently begged her not to be with these people or be with Jack.
Of course.
So people, they didn't like the cut of either of their jibs.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, I don't
Good call. Good call, fam. Here's the thing: the sister probably heard Christina. Christina probably mentioned these concerns about Jack to her. So it's
right.
Obviously if your sister's talking to you and she's like, I don't think this guy really loves me. You know what I mean? I don't want to see him with anybody. I don't feel confident. It kind of makes me want to die. You're gonna be like, don't marry the guy.
Yeah. This sounds like a bad plan.
This sounds like maybe this isn't the rest of your life.
Good sister.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it also makes sense that Ronald disappeared after this because I'm not clocking him as being that much of a bad guy.
Yeah.
So kind of like I would move away.
Yeah, I'd probably want to like wipe my hands clean of this and.
But where's he staying in the cabin? Was it a 1-bedroom cabin?
I get the vibe that it was like a pretty modest cabin, but how am I don't fucking know. Maybe.
Twin bed.
Twin bed.
The three of them are just piled.
Wow. I mean, the craziest part is why would you go on your honeymoon in Canada?
Why would you live in Canada?
Well, yeah.
Why would you be Canadian out of all the nations?
To our Canadian listeners, if you could write in and let us know why you would ever be Canadian, that would be great.
And has Trudeau ever showed up to your house in blackface?
All right, well, I think we've been had, but I think we have a theory on this one, and it's a pretty good one, and it's not one that I saw online.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're the first one to come up with that thing.
Nice.
Here's the thing: is we're sleuths. We've been doing this for a while now.
We have.
Okay, you're talking 8-9 months. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
We were
Great
had.
story.
It's a really
Yeah,
good story.
fun time.
I hope
Fantastic.
it doesn't happen. I hope your wedding is very much better.
Thank you, yeah. You hope I don't go to my honeymoon in Canada? Me too. All right.
I also hope you don't die on it.
Yeah.